Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is Ellen Love for the Parker Marchant Show. I'm just really delighted. Today is June the 5th. It's been a glorious day. It's the first of the month. A lot of people have a lot going on, and I hope that you're equally as busy and as loved and enjoying life and living it to its fullest, like today is your last. Having said that, I just like to go ahead and get started. I just want to go right in here. As we already know, it's been all over the news, and since Vanity Fair's cover shot came out just this week, it is obvious that Bruce Jenner is no longer a mister. Yes, that's right, gentlemen and ladies. We're now going to call him a sister. Sisters are just doing it for themselves. And Bruce Jenner wants us to just call him Caitlyn, like the cover story on Vanity Fair recommends. Looking quite feminine and sexy, I might add, in his lingerie. Kind of interesting choice for someone who went through a sex change, who stated very clearly when interviewed by Diane Sawyer in one of the year's most provocative one-on-one interviews to date, that he just wants to set an example and he wants to be someone who carries the vanguard and the flag for the transgender. Transgender in America is pretty much a very hot topic, which is why I'm here, love, discussing it today. I'm a little bit late, just by a few days, so please give me a break. As always, I've been busy and life has been crazy, but in a good way. So I hope that you can say the same. I definitely could not let it go without addressing the topic of the transgender, both here in America and globally as well. As we know, there's been a lot of talk about this topic, and we have had many celebrities that have chosen to have a sex change, such as Cher's child, Kat, formerly, and her daughter Chastity, formerly Chastity, with her former husband, the late Sonny Bono. Chastity was a cute little girl that used to appear on their variety show back in the 70s. And she absolutely looked like the perfect little angel. So many people thought so, with the little blonde hair and blue eyes. She definitely was looking like a really feminine, beautiful little girl. Come to find out that Cher's daughter, now being wished to be called, not Chastity, but she's now basically changed herself into a man. Now, one does wonder what that might do to a psyche as far as everything is concerned. The life that you're living, the person that you were, now you're suddenly becoming not only a different person, like taking on different responsibilities, like when one becomes a parent, you are taking on a completely different sexual identity. And in this world, that's pretty much our calling card. That is how we're defined for the most part, being either male or female. There is a lot of conversation about whether or not sex changes are even legitimate, even though one can go through the hormone therapy and can decide whether or not if they want to have their genitalia changed and altered to fit the new sexual identity, which actually Jenner chose not to. Chastity, it's not quite clear whether or not if she decided, or should I say he decided, to remain female in that way or decided to actually change and accept the male genitalia. But for Jenner, it is definitely clear that he decided that he was not going to essentially have his penis removed. It was a choice that he made for whatever reasons. One thing we can say, although we may or may not understand the full dynamics of what it means to be transgender and to have feelings that you were born the wrong sex, basically. If you're male, you thought and you felt growing up that you always thought you should have been a woman or a girl, or the vice versa situation where you were growing up as a little girl and you thought you should be a boy. It's really not our call to make, but it does make one wonder the legitimacy of such claims. Because as children grow and develop mentally and cognitively and physically, they do express themselves in a multitude of ways, and sometimes you will find male children adopting quote unquote female forms of play. They may sometimes even put on their mom's heels or a piece of female clothing that they found laying around, perhaps an older sister or a younger sister, or they're just playing house and they're playing dress up and having a tea party. So you do have situations like that where the male child or the female child chooses to adopt different characteristics of the opposite sex, but it does not always mean that that child, male or female, truly is exhibiting those behaviors because he or she truly feels somewhere deep inside that he or she should have been the opposite of whatever sex that person is at that particular time. So it is just a very complex topic. It's highly emotional. You have a lot of people who feel like Jenner is just doing this for publicity, basically more fame, more money. The guy was an actual Olympic god. The truth of the matter is, one wonders why Jenner would even need to make more money. He's been very successful even as a businessman. And of course, we got to know him in this generation as a member of the Kardashian clan prior to his divorce recently from Kris Jenner, the matriarch of the uber successful Kardashians, Kim, and of course her two sisters, Khloe. And I'm a Courtney. So it's obvious that Jenner is someone who's been extremely successful, so the fact that he would do this just to garner more material wealth seems very unlikely, not to mention a little bit ill-conceived. So we're not really sure. Jenner stated that in his interview with Sawyer numerous times that he always felt he was living a lie. Jenner was married 3 times, including his marriage to Kris Kardashian, formerly Kardashian. And obviously, this is a person who may have been in pain throughout that entire time, which is what he expressed to Sawyer in that extremely enlightening and candid expose of his life and what it was like for him as a man growing up in a highly traditional household, very conservative Republican, basically very Christian, religious, and all of that, where it was put upon him to always be this top achiever, particularly in the athletic arena. And Jenner did that. He went on to win so many gold medals. I mean, it's just amazing, and embarking him on an incredibly successful career as both a pitchman and also as a businessman. So the truth of the matter is, Jenner is someone who has lived what we call a gilded life. He has been very fortunate in his choices of career, and it's absolutely obvious to anyone that this person is financially well off. So for him to have chosen to essentially alter himself in such a way and taking hormones and, going through the surgeries for the sex change and going through everything that he did as far as the cosmetics are concerned, having the chin done, getting his Adam's apple shaved down. I mean, these are major surgeries, not to mention the breast implants. And even though a lot of people think of cosmetic surgery as routine, there are people, unfortunately, who did not live to see the effects of their surgeries because, unfortunately, they sadly did die on the table, because surgery is surgery and you still run the risk of extreme infection from time to time. So Jenner choosing to do this to himself just to gain more wealth, it just seems unlikely. So I don't really know why some people think that might be the case. Perhaps Jenner, to some, is misled, confused, maybe for some even ungodly. That seems to be a major view by the conservative and the Republican, which is interesting because Jenner is both. He is considered to be a Republican and a conservative. He did even state when he was interviewed by Sawyer, he's not a fan of Obama, not particularly. He did say a little bit lightly that he admired him for one thing that he did, but he essentially did clear that up to say that he was not a supporter other than that. So it is clear that Jenner is someone who defines himself as conservative, and being that so many conservatives are staunch Christians and they are in a lot of ways not liberal in their thinking, definitely probably more likely to question a sex change than someone from the opposite side of the aisle, it is very clear that Jenner made a decision for his own life, for his own well-being, and it's something that he and his inner circle, i.e. his children, former spouses, and extended family members need to come to terms with and accept, or not, or just be willing to be respectful of his decision, while at the same time perhaps not being totally on board with what he has done by deciding to become Caitlyn. Caitlyn means literally pure. So Jenner chose the name for whatever reasons that he chose it. Find it interesting that it's a hard C almost in one of those names that could be spelled with a K, just like his stepdaughters, Courtney, Kim, and Chloe. But the truth of the matter is he just wanted to distinguish himself and set himself apart is what he actually alluded to in his interview with Vanity Fair. Now, many people are commenting that they felt the cover shot of Jenner on Vanity Fair magazine is uber's photoshopped. Who knows? Most of the magazine covers are photoshopped. So Jenner's being photoshopped is really just falling within the normal range of how things are done in the publishing magazine industry and in advertising across the board in general. So most of the times when we see celebrities, their photos are photoshopped. I mean, you have people that do that even now that are not celebrities when they send photographs out of themselves and put them on Instagram and tweet them out. They have actually applied some of those mechanics to their own photographs, even though they are not someone like Jenner who has an audience and a following of millions and billions of people. It's just a matter of preference, truthfully. And it's just the world that we live in. It's highly superficial, and everything is all about how you look and looking good. Sometimes to the extreme where looking good is even valued more than feeling good and being healthy. If you think about the diet industry and how a lot of people take diet pills and supplements that are not even approved by the FDA or maybe frowned upon by many physicians as being unhealthy, but they are basically touted as the hottest weight loss gimmick, and so people jump on that bandwagon, and unfortunately a lot of times it can end in not only someone becoming unhealthy, but it can lead to a person's literal demise. So it is a very look conscious society. So Jenner's being photoshopped just falls right into those parameters. The only thing one can say is Jenner made a decision. It's one that he has to live with for the rest of his life. He's a 65-year-old man. It took him a while. He said that in the 80s he did take hormones and supplements, which could explain why there were changes in the contours of his face that were not related to aging, which is the norm for most people. It was related to the fact that he was choosing to alter himself, but for some reason or other, he wasn't yet feeling brave enough at that time in his life to continue and go full circle with making himself into a woman. Because that's what we're talking about here. Jenner is a male, was born a male. He has chosen to change his sex to that of a female. And so now he is going to live the rest of his life as a woman. And we do have to wonder how his children will react to the fact that no longer do they have this virile, athletic man that they call their dad. They now have someone who wants to refer to himself as Caitlyn and as a she. And therefore, the father that they knew and loved is no longer a part of this world. He is just another photo and the many pictures and memories that they created that are now in their photo albums. So we have to wonder how his children will truly feel about this, years from now. It's all very new. Most of them seem very supportive, but it does beg to ask the question whether or not are they all truly at peace with Jenner's decision to become a woman. Is Jenner even sure that there are not going to be repercussions or ramifications that are yet to materialize just as a response to the decision that he has made to change his gender? Transgender is a very complicated matter. It's an area where there are a lot more questions than there are answers, and many people are confused and concerned when they experience it firsthand or through a loved one, like one of their children comes to them and says, I feel like I was born in the wrong body, or I was born this way. I mean, this is even deeper than someone being homosexual, which Jenner clearly stated adamantly that he was not homosexual, that he loved women, that he considered women beautiful, and that he was very sexually attracted to women, that he had never had any desire to be with a man. Therefore, he is obviously not what society terms a homosexual. He is a transgender. So at this point, Jenner has been clear that I suppose when he is at that point where he wants to date, it will more than likely be a woman. So what does that make him? Is he now a lesbian? We do have to wonder, because if he has become a woman, if he's with another woman in the world, that does essentially say that the person is a lesbian. If it's a female and a female, it's a lesbian couple. So you kind of have to wonder to yourself, is Jenner really sure of what he's doing? I mean, he seems like he's now in this world where he's between being a male and a female, because he did not choose to rid himself of his male genitalia like so many other transgenders do make that decision, which I'm certain is a difficult one to make. But when they really want to feel like they are women, they typically go the route where they do have their penises removed and restructured and formed into a vagina. I hope that one is not offended by this. It's all very candid. It's all just a matter of biology. And we're all adults here. So basically speaking, Jenner has made the decision that he has made. He will live with that decision for the rest of his days. Hopefully, he will live happily ever after. He will, when he is strong enough and confident and emotionally secure, if he decides to start a new relationship, he will move on and he will be with a woman, as he has always been, as someone who was born a male. We still cannot get away from the fact that Bruce Jenner was born a man, and he was born not female, but in his heart and soul, he basically feels he was born to be a woman. So he does have that. He has gone ahead and pursued that now. That is what his legacy will be. There's no turning back the clock. I mean, at any point he could have derailed this. He could have said, I'm not comfortable. I think this is a little more extreme than I thought it would be. I'm not going to have the surgery. I'm just going to do the hormone therapy. I'm just going to live my life and be with another woman, but I'm not going to go the whole entire circle, because I just want to make sure that I maintain some semblance of who I used to be and who I was born as a man. Now, Jenner did not make that choice. He made the choice that he made. And so now the rest of the world, me included, are going to refer to this former man as a new woman that he has become. And her name is Caitlin. So for anyone out there who is going through this, considering sex change operation, do your research. Think long and hard before you make such a drastic decision, because it is one that cannot be undone. And if you look at the research, the statistics support that a lot of transgenders basically post-op were not happy with the final outcome. And a lot of them, unfortunately, do end up committing suicide. for many reasons, not because they dislike what happened as far as the surgeries were concerned, but a lot of times it can also be psychological. It can be emotional. It can be the fact that their parents and their families and their other loved ones were not willing to accept the fact that they believe themselves to be born in the wrong bodies, literally. So whenever choosing to make any major decision in life, you must take time to think it through. Jenner seems like he actually did that. This is like decades in the making. He had always felt this way, according to what he shared during that candid, eye-opening interview with Sawyer. He seemed to be a person who was uncomfortable literally in his own skin. So Jenner had a lot of time to think this over. He raised children throughout this time period. He got married several times and had failed marriages to show for it. The fact that he did try to live as a man, and he wanted to obviously be happy living as the man that he was born to be. But apparently that did not make him happy. And he always felt, like he stated, like someone who was living a lie. And as we all know, it is difficult to live a life of meaning and beauty and significance when you are simply and literally hiding yourself and trying to hide from yourself something that is an impossibility for all of us. So I would like to thank you so much for taking this moment. It's pretty much just a general commentary on a topic that we need to talk about more, that we need to try and understand, because the transgender is not going away. You will find yourself today in the workplace working with someone you may not even know who is a transgender. You may one day find yourself involved romantically or otherwise with someone who is a transgender. Hopefully, he or she will be honest with anyone that they are dating. The transgender does owe that not only to themselves, but also to the people that they choose to bring into their intimate circles. Those people, potential mates and spouses, deserve to know the truth. They deserve to know whether or not, if the person that is in their lives is the person they believe that woman or man to be. And let's be honest here, being surgically enhanced and taking hormone therapy and changing the sex that you were born in, whether as a male or a female, is certainly different than someone who can open a photo album and see pictures of him or herself as a little girl or as a little boy. When a transgender looks back at the pictures in the family photo albums and at the videos, he or she who have become a male or become a female will not see images that reflect the person that he or she is now living as. So it is extremely imperative for one to be honest. If transgender and dating someone who is either not transgender or perhaps maybe not even welcoming of that particular dynamic, because everyone is not accepting. Some people can accept that and others are totally offended, and some are just not comfortable. They respect the people that have chosen to live their lives that way, but at the same time they are not comfortable being a part of those people's lives on an intimate and personal level as a potential mate or spouse. So I always think that honesty is better than being dishonest, particularly in any type of relationship where trust is a factor, a primary factor. So Jenner is someone who came out, chose to choose a life to live anew as a female. But everyone knows who Jenner is. Everyone knows that Jenner will now be called Caitlyn. But if it's someone else out there who is not famous, person can hide a lot more and can tell mistruths, and it's unfortunate if someone finds that out, because a lot of times this can lead to people being literally murdered. So one must truly be careful misleading a person when it comes to something so personal and just so serious. So I just want to take time to close this. Didn't want to stay too long. Looks like I did, but I just want to thank you, of course, for listening as always. And I hope that all of you, no matter who you are, how you feel about the person you are when you look in the mirror, that you are kind to yourself and that you are good to others, and that you never ever lie about who you are inside, that you own your own truth, and that you live as authentically as you possibly can as a human being in this extremely imperfect reality. Thank you so much for listening. This again has been Ellen Love on the Parker Marchant Show. We certainly do like to hear your thoughts and views on the topic of transgender. Bruce Jenner, who's now Caitlyn Jenner, let's not forget. I would love to know what you're thinking. So please do share with me as always. And again, live each day like it's your last. And take care of those that you love and tell them often. Ciao, ciao.